All right, we're live on Facebook. Good evening, guys.
Good evening, gentlemen.
What is up, everyone? Hello,
Nice
hello.
to see
Welcome.
you guys, even digitally.
Welcome back, Greg.
Thanks, dude.
We
Appreciate
missed
being
you
back.
last week, man. We missed you last
Yeah,
week.
had lots to do. Ditched the glasses for this episode, but we'll see how it goes. Got some contacts,
Oh
contact
yeah?
lenses. Yeah. No, David,
Wow,
I'm
man.
I'm like just like this, dude. Like I'm nearsighted. I would not be able to see you. Rich, explain how that works to him.
Well, Greg is actually auditioning for a part as Mr. Magoo. So
Yeah.
he's going to keep his glasses off so he can,
yeah,
stumble around a little bit, right?
yeah. Anyways, it was good. It was I saw you guys, took care of things. It's nice. This is another second episode of us not having a guest. We'll have guests on. Thanks everyone for joining. Yeah, LA was great. Actually, it was very nice being there. So for those that you don't know, I run a wine company called Cotting Wine with my family. Um, and we were out there promoting what we do, promoting our wines, placing our wine in businesses, meeting up with people. It was very nice. It was very. I felt kind of like strangely at home in LA. We are
It's great.
proud NorCal people, but it was very nice to have a lot of Armenians around, a lot of people, a lot of actually new faces I've never met, and it was very nice to see them all. A lot of folks that I have met before, actually a lot of old faces. David, you know some of them as well
Yeah, I
that I've
saw a
met up
couple,
with.
yeah.
Yeah, it was very cool.
It's
So, anyway,
great.
not to drag it all out, it was a very positive trip. Even though everything is constantly in the backdrop of so much doom and gloom, because as I'm out there, like you should see my chats that are just blowing up, in terms of the travesties that are happening with Armenia. However, I do want to say that the reception I had from friends, old, new, some connections that I just made with Rose, like it was amazing to see. It was probably the longest I've been in LA in like a while, like
Yeah.
over a week. So it's thank you, Los Angeles. I'll be back.
That's
Yeah,
great, man.
Great.
Award-winning wine up here, and you're taking it down to the heart of the Armenian community in the US, second largest community in the world. You could argue maybe third after Armenia and Russia, right? But great, man. That's great. You got to
thank you.
pour, you got to
Got the
pour, you got to
pour, yeah.
sell, you got to, would you could,
Yeah, I did. I placed it. Those of you out there in LA, Remedy Liquors will be carrying us, and there
awesome.
are a couple of spots out in the coastal cities. Yeah, and had lots of conversations for future and in some restaurants, etc., etc. Big shout out to Cafe Rouge for those of you that are in the hookah smoking
Yeah,
business. They made a very warm reception for us, and big shout out to Kevin. I don't know if he watches this, but he's the owner who took care of us, and it was very nice. That being said, yeah, I want to go back to LA. I want to be there. Um, Sucks that the Warriors lost to Lakers that time that I was there,
it's okay,
but it's
man.
okay. It's Oakland for life.
Yeah,
Um,
good
it was
stuff,
nice.
man.
It was very positive, and I was kind of checking on your episode without me while I was at Cafe Rouge. So
Yeah.
you guys held it down, and I hope it was.
I'll bet you had your feet up on the counter and you were just swilling down mine going, oh, yeah, those are my guys, whatever.
Yeah. No, it's
Dude,
actually nice. I appreciate the way that we run things, that we know that if one of us can't be there, the other two can, hold down the fort. So it's very important. That's actually part of what you are in
absolutely.
groups like this. You know what I mean? Like we're you can, when a tricycle can become a bicycle. Rich, in your terms. How are you? How was everything?
Good, good. I mean, it was great to get to do the show live with Rich, which was really cool because I was in Davis for the for rehearsal last Thursday for last Sunday's For Our Soldiers virtual gala and auction, which, by the way, I'll share with everybody, raised $110,000
Nice.
for the families of fallen and injured soldiers
That's
in
amazing.
Armenia,
And
which
that
is
was,
just
this
absolutely
was only
amazing.
a few hours long, right? It was only a couple
It
hours
was
long.
2 hours long. It was an auction. There was calls for people to pledge and donate as well. There was a silent auction as well. It completely exceeded our expectations by quite a bit. We set a goal of $50,000. We being the Bay Area Artsakh Task Force, we've had the chair of the Artsakh Task Force, Dr. Armen Derkarigian, on our show to to promote the event. And we set that goal of $50,000 within the Humanitarian Aid Committee, which is one of the committees that's working as part of the task force project and outreach. And we just completely more than doubled that, which is absolutely amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was amazing. So, and I got to MC it. It was great. And then, Rich, thank you, man, for staying up late, joining me on Sunday as well. You're grabbing a bite to eat late after.
It was,
the
by the
event.
way, a hilarious, an amazing experience.
Yeah, shout
I
out.
always
to
like
the-
seeking out the weird, So
yeah,
it's
with
good.
a trucker diner.
It was awesome.
it was
So
pretty good.
great.
So
Yeah, you know what? I look forward to the day when we don't have to raise money for fallen soldiers and to take care of their families. I look forward to the day when our military is strong enough to prevent any incursion. I look forward to the day where we have to respond, where we don't have to respond as hard as we have to these days. I don't know about you guys, but again, it seems like another week, another month added on to an exceptionally difficult year. And so thanks for the work that you did. I'm glad it raised so much money. The work that we're all trying to do is hopefully, making some forward progress. But again, I just hope that I look forward to the day where, we don't have to respond the way we have been having to respond to these things. And I think that means that we need to get, there's a lot going on in the government that we're going to talk about. I think maybe it's probably appropriate we just pivot to the news.
yeah.
There's a lot to talk about this week. We've got a very important resignation in Armenia that we really have to lead with, which is so important that it has usurped our initial, first topic, which is the obvious incursion into Armenia proper from the Azeris. We've got POWs to talk about. We've got Iran issues to talk about. Obviously, there's problems with the election and the political structure right now. But we do have a couple of good things to talk about at the end with some sports and arts and culture. So stay tuned for those, because with all the things that are going on, it's probably nice to have something inspiring to talk about. And then, of course, we'll have a call to action. So, who wants to go first about this resignation?
Yeah, I mean, it's all connected, right,
Yeah.
Rich? Sadly, all this stuff's connected. Greg, why don't we lead off, man, with who
Yeah.
resigned? Yeah.
Again,
Okay.
we could have built up to it, but we can work it in reverse. Being in LA, there was, as I mentioned, what do you call it? An avalanche of calamities, right? That Armenia is undergoing. I'm already very critical that anyone is in this administration, because you know me, and I have
Right.
the arguments to back it up. So already, as the November 9 capitulation, as we'll call it, happened, or as the planned handoff of everything happened, we had a new foreign minister, and this
Yeah.
foreign minister didn't last 7 months.
Well, he came on November 18, right? Yeah. So here we are.
And now barely 7 months on, 6.5 months on, he resigns.
Today.
Not only did he resign, I was also told, and we can double check on that. Anyone in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong, but his entire foreign corps resigned as well. A lot of high-end key country, ambassadors, I believe, including the one in the U.S. For sure, I remember the one in Russia, who I was already not super fond of, because their performance to me was a little less than becoming of a nation in crisis. You know what I mean? Like, so those guys also kind of stepped down. Now, what does that mean? After the prime minister, the foreign minister is the next person that speaks to anything that happens, besides the defense minister on the borders between Armenia and Azerbaijan. He is the person that talks to other nations about everything that needs to happen, and relays. He's essentially the face between Armenia and the rest of the world. And now we don't have that person. I'm sure they put an interim guy there, but with already like the resumes of the people replacing one another getting thinner and thinner, I'm sorry, I'm just not confident at this dire time of crises for this man to be walking away from a job.
Right.
Furthermore, I think it's actually by virtue of deductive thinking, I'm wondering, what did he hear that even this man, who was the deputy before he stepped in the role, right? Thought that, okay, I heard something, even I have a red line. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
like,
mean, we
go
just
ahead,
don't
Rich.
know.
Sorry.
We
Go ahead,
just
Rich.
don't know. I mean, the reality is and we were talking about this, during the, the pre-meeting. It comes to this thing of, at what point do you stand up and keep fighting for your country, and at one point do you go, okay, I can't be involved in something this toxic. And I don't know what the line is. And to your point, Greg,
Right.
he may know something that the rest of us don't know.
And
Yeah.
we can unpack something. We can decipher from. Sorry if I'm. Stop me if I'm speaking too much. But there are things that are coming through the pipeline where it is evident. So first of all, there's a lot of people going like, we don't know if there's going to be an election, because the way that this guy wants to put the dagger into Armenia, even with this, David, as you said, Gallup poll of 25% support.
For my
This,
step and Pashinyan.
yeah, this foreign minister might have heard something that he goes, I just don't want to be around when that happens.
It could be. Look, what we know, and this is according to the Osprey's article, he resigned on Thursday on the same day as 6 Armenian soldiers were taken hostage, captive as POWs. So there's now 6
No.
more POWs.
No. They were not captured. They were abducted.
Yes.
Those are two different things, because we are
Okay.
not in a state of war. They have not officially attacked us. They have
Yes.
abducted our citizens who happen to be servicemen.
I appreciate that, Rich. And
Okay.
this is not,
Yes. I'm not
this is
denying
not a
that.
way.
I know I'm not coming down on you. I'm just saying
Yeah.
for the public,
Yeah.
because we keep saying these things under the, and it's a natural thing to do, but the reality is we have to frame it the right way, because they
Right.
have abducted
They
our
were
people.
taken hostage. They were taken hostage, right? As if
Yeah.
Greg, were you gonna say? What were you gonna say?
Yeah, absolutely. It's now, notice what's happening, and this is kind of like of all the levels of red tape, red lines that have been crossed. I'm just afraid to even know what this foreign minister knows, former foreign minister, that even guy that, I'm sorry, I didn't have much respect for the man, was even that guy goes, you know what, I don't want
Right.
to, I don't
Look,
want to do this. Yeah.
Well, we know the last things he did, because there were no other details elaborating on the circumstance. Okay, he attended the National Security Council meeting late Thursday and hosted Iran's foreign minister Mohammad Zarif on Wednesday. So it appears that he submitted his resignation after the Security Council meeting. Obviously, we don't know if there was something in that meeting that led to it. It could be a buildup of things, and then, like you're pointing out, Greg, what does he know that we don't? That's just, he can't take anymore. But yeah, it's very questionable, very concerning. And
Yeah,
so,
and the problem is, and this will cue us up for the next thing, is that so many things have been happening so quickly that it is difficult to
Yes.
not only collate them, but to
Yes.
respond to them.
yes.
It seems as though there is this amplification of our timeline, and
Yes.
it's so weird. Forgive me for going on a rabbit trail, but I'll try and make it quick. It seems like there's this duality happening. On one hand, you have this slow moving, we're going to incur into your territory, we're going to provoke you, we're going to see what happens, we know nobody's going to do anything. So this whole thing is moving slowly. It's not like some blitzkrieg movement where people go, oh my God, they're coming into your territory. They're trying to make it slow and deliberate and make it seem like there's room for error or some questions and all that. And at the same time, there's this super fast push of either people leaving or decisions being made, and a lot of things happening that are really hard to quantify. So it's, and I think there's some deliberateness in there, but I don't know how to.
Oh, absolutely there is, right? Absolutely there is. I think that's a good segue, Rich. Why don't we look at the timeline? And Rich, remember last week, you and I, we were trying to unpack it, and we unpacked what we knew that we had come across by that point. But May 12th, they incur in Sevlich, Black Lake, right? It's now been 15 days since that incursion. At first, we heard, 250 soldiers, something like that, right, Greg?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When we heard they were digging trenches.
You told me a report of something way more than that recently.
Oh yeah, now today, and we're gonna get there, but the Ministry of Defense is now saying there's some 1,000 Azeri soldiers on Armenian territory right now, and we'll get there. May 14, Pashinyan reaches out, appeals to the current chairman of the CSTO, this is a Collective Security Council, right? Which is that treaty. Greg, real quick, tell me what the CSTO is.
It's a collective defense treaty, essentially the kind of the anti-NATO of the remnants of the former Soviet Union, of which I believe it's Russia, Kazakhstan, Belarus,
Yes.
few more stands.
Tajikistan, right? The current president is from Tajikistan.
Yeah, current president. And they go on a rotating, and Armenia, right?
Right.
Not exactly the most kind of
right.
Anyways,
so all of the countries that Turkey would like to unite under itself,
a bunch.
We have to appeal to them.
Yeah, a bunch.
Okay.
A bunch.
Yeah. Like
all the Turkic nations.
Right. Greg's
we're trying to appeal to them to help
quite a bit,
or to help decide.
Quite a bit. Right. And so now remember, May 14th, it was under Article 2, which was the quote, a threat to security and territorial integrity of a member nation. And Greg, you pointed out why Article 2 instead of Article 4, which is actually like a direct attack, right? So then Pashinyan also appealed to Russia for help, also on May 14. Fast forward, May 17, Azerbaijani forces opened fire on Artsakh village behind Armenian positions towards residents, injuring a civilian. Okay, that happened. Okay, May 17.
Yep.
And then finally, May 18, the US State Department decides, well, not finally, excuse me. And Rich, you and I spoke about this last week. They put out a travel advisory on May 18. And Greg, we missed you with us, but we went over the track record of these travel advisories, and it's not good. It is not good, right? So the first one, what was it, July or August? Tavush, travel advisory, eastern border of Armenia, northeastern border of Armenia, stay away. They had tried to attack in Tavush. And then there were travel advisories, what was it? Was something like 3 days before they attacked in September in Artsakh? Do not travel to that region and do not travel to that area because, and then what happened, right? Right, Greg? Right, Rich?
No,
okay, so this travel advisory comes out from the embassy in Armenia, the UK, Canada, and Poland as well. Okay, Poland as well. And guess what? The US embassy in Baku says, do not travel to Azerbaijan. Do not travel outside of Baku. If you're going to travel to Azerbaijan, do not travel outside of Baku. What do they know that we don't know, right? There's now 1,000 soldiers on Armenian territory, and we're going to get there in a moment. So that's May 18. May 20, it starts to build. There's a brawl. 11 Armenian soldiers are injured as a result of a brawl with Azeri soldiers in Syunik. And now they did send the enemy back to their starting position at that point, apparently, May 20. Okay, what else happened May 20? One of you guys take it away, the next item. What else happened on May 20 in Kosnodar village?
Go for it.
Sorry, go. You there? Keep going, dude.
Okay, no problem. So it's okay. There was that brawl at the same time, same day, in Kosnodar village, which is in Syunik, correct? Right, yeah. Greg? And we have a map we can show in a second. Yeah, they evacuate all women and children because there was word that Azeri soldiers had come across and were advancing by 3 kilometers. Again, they seem to like this 3 kilometers thing. And Rich, that goes right along with your point, how it's a very slow build, right? 3 kilometers is about 1.86 miles. Okay, so barely 2 miles. They're slowly advancing. Well, at the same time, some forces supposedly were retreating from the original positions. All this confusion. Which one is it? Are they advancing? Are they retreating? We have women and children being evacuated from Kosnodar.
Well, I think that's, you know, before we get into the map, I want to say this. Here's the deal. The entire platform that the Turks have been using since the genocide in 1915 to 23, and I would say currently, is a platform of confusion. If you sow enough confusion, people will not be able to make decisions, and you can keep on pushing out the date that you'll have a conversation, and you'll make it so that it's too far gone. There won't be survivors. There won't be people who remember. It'll just be too much for people. And
Right.
so that confusion is
Yep.
part and parcel of their entire strategy. So this makes perfect sense to me as to what they're doing. They're not going to do anything that is clearly understood so that people can respond to it. They want to make it so that they throw their enemy off base. Sadly, they're doing it because we're not because for a lot of reasons.
Well, I'll pause you there, and I will actually add something. If you notice that in every report, why these soldiers, the 11 soldiers, got into a skirmish is because there's a lot of volunteers, by the way, that are out there trying to patrol, do something. There's this mass chaos and confusion that is sown by the administration. Notice that there's constant prerogatives of, yes, we need to get the POWs back. We need to tell that, not another inch. But I know for a fact that there's directives saying do not fight back. Why is that even happening?
Well, there's a bunch of reasons I would imagine for that. And I think it's because if we fight back, they're going to say, they, meaning the Azeris, are going to say, see, they're attacking us. And then it's going to justify them then bringing in, more.
I agree that. But like, once we've been pummeled into this insanity of defeat, right? I don't think it's just technical on that end. And actually that plays into every like kind of conversation that I have with diasporans that are still kind of on Pashinyan's level, which I'm not at all. Because they're like, well, we are not ready for yet another fight. It's one argument. The other argument is this might be part of this grand plan. Again, let's tie it back to today's resignation. And whenever you're ready, I can share my screen and show a little map. The thing that is about to transpire is so like earth-shattering that maybe Armenia can never, recuperate from it. And maybe Azerbaijan is just trying to do all these things to make sure that the grand plan, which hasn't ended yet, needs to transpire. Okay?
Right.
So
well, I mean,
when you're ready.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Let people know what's going on in terms of where. Sometimes we hear these things, we don't know where, how, why, et cetera, right? Here we go. Share the screen. Boom. Check out the map. I'm going to take 3 minutes to explain. So first pin right here. Let me know if everyone sees this. This is where they're incurring in Gegharkunik. Notice that's not Syunik. Syunik is right here. This is Gegharkunik, where Lake Sevan is. Okay. This is where we had, again, geography, friends, had very high elevation mountain range protecting us from these animals. Okay.
When we had Artsakh.
Artsakh.
Right.
Yeah. So when we talk about this, that, 3 adjoining regions, 7 adjoining regions, shut up. If you don't know anything, please sit down. You know what I mean? Like, we had a geographic wall right here. Okay. Now we are wide open. Completely. We're wide open here. They've incurred this, by the way, is where Tatev is. Okay. This is the Vorotan Canyon and all that stuff. And this is Syunik. Black, the Sevlich is right here around Goris.
It's near Goris, the northwest of Goris here.
Doesn't matter. So that's one thing. So they're constantly attacking here. They're constantly attacking there. Why are they doing that? The border officially is not, repeat after me, demarcated. What that means is that where one bush is versus what, like that one's Richard's side, this is my side, needs to be demarcated by GPS, affixed by United Nations, okay? So Azeris are taking advantage of that, saying, oh, the border is fuzzy, we don't care, and they're definitely taking advantage of the fact that Yerevan won't push back. I got a couple of more points to make, and then we're through. Now watch this. This is even the worst of the worst. So we already have this insanity of a road right here that everyone's seen it. If Nanor Balabanyan and anybody that follows a lot of Armenian activists going down to Syunik, it's that road that every 5 seconds they're like, welcome to Azerbaijan, which needs to stop. Okay, it's because this road in Soviet time kind of went in and out of Soviet Armenia, very arbitrarily built border. Okay, that's one. The other, why we could have never lost this war, okay? And this region did not need to go. But we'll get to that later. Now watch these. Again, diasporans, we just don't often, pay attention to these things. You see these little holes right here? Right here. They want to make sure that this comes back to Azerbaijan under the agreement. Yep. Armenians, by the way, have this one region right here that no one's talking about, by the way. It's part of the agreement, but how are we going to protect it? How is it going to happen? It was in Soviet Union, very arbitrary patches here and there. Now look at this one right here. You put this right here, and you got a military base of Azeris inside of Armenia controlling yet another major route. By the way, this is where most of Armenia's trade to Georgia goes through. Okay, so congratulations, Davutjan, follow me, Davutjan Pashinyan. Thanks for signing this without even negotiating a little bit. Or maybe he's also drunk, not understanding how important it is to make sure that this is not on the table. Finally, and this is the best one. This is the best one. Maybe this is why the foreign minister left. Check out this hole in the road. Wow. This is also Tigranashen is a little bit of a Azeri Soviet arbitrarily made enclave in Armenia. And guess what this road is? This is the road going from Yerevan to Iran. Okay? This is the main north-south road going through the Ararat Valley. Every one of us that's been to Noravang. Oh, and by the way, my winemaker friends, sorry if I'm spiraling. Those of you that still are with Pashinyan, this is Areni right here. That's where all the best Armenian vino is coming from. So if you still think you're going to get your trucks from Yerevan when Azeris drop here, oh yeah, but Greg, there's this bypass road right here. Have you ever been on it? Have you zoomed in? Have you seen this? Have you seen the switchbacks over here? Have you looked at the map, my dear friends? You know what I mean? Like, so this is actually on the negotiating table right now. Like literally. And I have a feeling the foreign minister is like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Hold on. So zoom in real quick.
Yes.
Zoom in on
right here.
So you're saying that that a town named after a former Armenian king is Azeri.
Soviet Union put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to lay that out.
Yeah. That is great and all, but I've been on that road. You put Azeris in here, and now they look, guys. They control here, boom. They control here, boom. They control here. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You're just on your knees now.
It's the choking. It's the choking of a nation. It's the choking of a nation.
So anyone that's like, oh, the guys before us, the guys after us, Kocharan, Ser Sarkisian, you must be smoking something very, very toxic when you're telling me this. The only thing that can work is for this to be kind of suspended. Okay.
Yeah, Greg, I have a question. If it's okay to ask it. I mean, thank you for this. This is really, really helpful, and I hope it's helpful for our viewers. I did not know about Tigranashen. Okay, I just learned something right now. So thank you. But my question is this: these borders did exist. They did exist. They didn't exist during Soviet Union time?
No. So Soviet Union is this amorphous state that only cared about its most external borders. Everything else internally, that's why we have an issue in Crimea. That's why we have an issue in everything else was kind of like arbitrarily. Why is there an Armenia this size? And then there's an Armenian land right here that somehow fell. And by the way, when Soviet Union was formed, there was also this one called Nakhichevan with Armenian words. Nakhichevan, okay? This was 50% Armenian populated. Somehow it got cut, and then this piece just got shoved over there.
So that entire eastern border didn't exist during Soviet Union?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it was one and the same. When Armenians traveled from Tiflis to Yerevan, they would constantly drive. My father would drive constantly from Tiflis through this little Azeri whatever protrusion and into Yerevan. It was the fastest route. It was a very well done road. Okay, and borders only emerged post Soviet Union, and because it was a scramble. And by the way, like Armenia is not the only place that has contended. Like there's issues in Central Asia, in the Fergana Valley, right here. Look at how convoluted all this is. Look, by the way, there are like dots here, here, and there. But these countries somehow were able to what do you call it? Were able to kind of squash it and figure it out, because somehow Armenians are always dealt the worst card. Now you ask me, why are these there? Because empires like to make shitty maps. Sorry for my French. And why do they like to make shitty maps? Is because if I can get you, David, fighting Richard, I can control the two of you. Okay.
Yeah.
So
right,
as much as you know what I mean.
Sure.
So,
well said, Greg. Yeah.
And it seems to me that a lot of the border drawings were, again, to court the Turks into becoming a Soviet, state and a Soviet buffer. And once it was the Soviet Union, everybody sort of relatively played nice because we're one big Soviet family. But once things started to break away, the thawing of the fights really, took the foreground.
Now the biggest quarrel, guys, now is this guy seems to either not care, he's playing for the other team, or he's mad. Okay, like not mad at us, or like just a madman. Because for you not to understand that you need to, at the very least, negotiate something and not always throw up that big fight that everybody says. By the way, I do not believe that our boys did not, Emil Gieson said it. The resistance was there.
Right.
It's just that if you got your command throwing sticks in your back, right? Well, then there's not much our boys can do. You know what I mean? So, and we'll stop it here. But again, David, remember, I've always said this: maps matter and plans matter by the enemy, and it's right here. This area, right? This area right here that was purchased from Iran in 1922, I believe. This little 3-kilometer protrusion of Turkey. Otherwise, this was where the Iranian border closed in, and this piece of shit Turkish nation didn't have a connection with Nakhichevan.
Right. I know.
So they purchased this.
Yep.
So don't tell me that there is no negotiating, that there is no, it's just a matter of the ability. So that's it.
I would say that, what I'm hearing, based on what I've known about Pashinyan before, is that as a populist, in the same sort of vein that Donald Trump was or is, I would say that my estimation is that I thought Trump was way, way, way out of his depth. And I don't think he could have negotiated anything correctly in a situation like this. And if Pashinyan is of the same ilk, that's what's going on. He can't. He is way out of his depth. He's way out of his depth. And I think these two entities, Turkey and Azerbaijan, are exploiting that. That's what I think. I would like to think that that's the case. Otherwise, the alternative, he is playing for the other team.
Guys, friends, lovers, co-hosts, I want to say this. When the Japanese lost the war, I've said this before, the entire military echelon took their own lives.
Right.
Okay? In shame. When the Greeks lost the Turks, in the same time the Battle of Sartarabad happened, the Pontic Greeks and the Greeks that were like pushed out of Smyrna, currently Izmir. We got to learn that stuff too. The entire top brass of the Greek army was executed actually by the Greek government for failing. Okay, yet somehow we have a guy that does everything wrong, and I got thousands of activist friends going like, well, he was dealt a bad card.
Yeah.
Was he though?
Yeah.
You I don't know if he was. I think that's horseshit. I think that you kind of know what you're signing up for. You are signing up for a landlocked country that needs allies, and you want to go, oh, to hell with Russia. Let's be. Right. It's the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I would say it's predictable, but it should not be surprising.
But friends, one more thing. This is a big one. There is a chance that he might be now that you remember, the entire week I'm in LA trying to like move on with my life, which I can never do.
Well, this is our lives, dude.
There's this agreement that he's going to sign, but it's going to be great for everyone.
Right.
There is rumor, because it was leaked what that agreement is, that I think he's gonna on
He's gonna
say
what?
yes, yes,
He's
say
gonna what?
what I haven't said it.
Okay.
On paper, agree that while the Russian peacekeepers are protecting Armenians in Artsakh, Armenia relinquishes all claim from it. Essentially acknowledging Artsakh's
Right.
Artsakh being within the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan.
Right.
Kill me when that happens. Seriously.
Yeah, Rich, we might have mentioned that. We did talk about that document and it how it leaked and how it had to do with setting up commissions for the border for demarcation. But yeah, that there's definitely fear that he is going to sign something that's going to automatically say Artsakh is part of Azerbaijan.
And now you have Azerbaijan with a Davajan Yerevan ministry government attesting that they can then show to every United Nations out there, see, Armenians themselves said Artsakh is not ours. Just like he, in November, goes in the parliament and says, well, Shushi was never ours.
Right.
So, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is for everybody out there that's like, oh, but the economy's improving on this and this and that. Yo,
it's not
we can
anymore.
lose everything. We can lose everything.
Yeah, it's not anymore. I mean, look, the only thing, and I just don't understand. It's frustrating. I'm not very optimistic. We'll get to it in politics, right? I'm optimistic that Pashinyan will be, what do I say? That he will lose the election.
No,
it appears.
Yeah,
it appears that, and you guys tell me, like, I don't mean to send us on this rabbit hole, but look, we can't speak for what it was like for people to live under the prior regimes. We can't speak for what it was like for them. It appears to me that literally they just don't want to go back to that. And so what they have to, I can't.
Well, you know what? If they get their way, they won't. There'll be an Azeri flag or a Turkish flag flying over Yerevan, and they'll be subject to that rather than.
Thank you, Richard. What I'm trying to say.
So they'll get what they want.
It's scary.
So, guys, there are two arguments that I heard from my co-hosts today, which were literally campaign speeches and political speeches broadcast, and they're just so sticky that it just makes sense and sticks, right? One thing is what Richard said. Well, sometimes, they're like, we are afraid to respond, provoking a possible next attack. It's been said over and over again. How about actually, having a defense, and how about actually standing our ground and not having the hey, don't shoot, for a directive. Well, I'm not finished. And second part is what David just said. The former was so bad that we can never go back to it. That's true. That has been said. I'm having heated arguments with family members over that. Not my immediate family, but distant. But what I'm trying to say here is, hey guys, can we just calm down for a second? Yeah, it was maybe corrupt and bad under Kocharan, but there was an Armenia.
Right. I know.
Greg,
I know.
Do you want to go through an Azeri military post to go get your grapes in Vyodzor?
Right.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, look, we'll get to it. I don't understand it. From the polling we see, from the arguments we hear, they're not seeing that, Greg. It doesn't jive. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand. I don't get it.
With everything that's going on in Armenia, David, with all due respect, the polling from April 29th, which, yes, that's true. A lot of friends that I know, they're like, yeah, he still has like 20%.
25, apparently. His
25.
party.
Every single party that's running against him used to flirt with the fact that, oh, maybe we'll form a government with him. Number one, he doesn't have any kind of majority. So that's number two, of course. Every cop that he's paying, by the way, he tripled the cops' salaries. So they're literally remember those photos of him patrolling, going left, right, this and that with an army. Essentially everything that he criticized Ser Sarkisian for. Remember?
Yeah.
Very interesting, right? Let's remember that, people that are always talking about Kocharan, right? Remember that. Now this guy's walking around. Let's remember how we were very tired of the FSB or the Secret Service, I think, punching an elderly man. And now, during Serge's time, and now we got a Secret Service posting up on government rooftops with rifles from balconies. That was also something we've covered a few months ago. Okay, so again, the juxtaposition
So it's
is
more.
really
So it is
I-
more important to
Yeah.
protect the government from the people than it is the people from an outside government.
it
That's what's
seems to
happening.
be that.
Yeah.
It seems to be. It
Look,
seems to be.
And I
Seems
think
to be.
the bigger point that I'd like to make is that if the diaspora doesn't support, how do I put this? If we don't watch it, Armenians are going to become like Palestinians. We're going to get squeezed off our own land. We're going to get treated like third or fourth class citizens. And the difference between, and this is the bigger point, the difference between the Armenians and the Palestinians will be that nobody will care about us.
Mhm.
And everybody and their sister-in-law cares about the Palestinians.
And
when it comes
rightfully
to this
so,
fight.
rightfully so, because I also have a position on this debacle that's happening in the other part of the world, right? But yeah. Oh, and by the way, there's going to be a hotel built in Shushi called the Karabakh Victory Hotel. It's going to have 4 flags on it: the Azeri one, the Turkish one, the Pakistani one, and congratulations, Netanyahu, the Israeli one. So I'm not saying it, but Baku seems to think that though that is a fourth party in this what do you call it?
Oh yeah.
They're missing one more. They're missing one more ISIS flag that they just don't want to float up there. But
How
in
about
the
the
kitchen.
U.S.? How about the U.S. for giving 100 million to Azerbaijan?
that's the next segue. Good way of tying it in. So, anyways, folks, not to tie up for those of you listening out there the doom and gloom, but the situation is dire, and I hope the map explore it. Like we know,
It
there's
was
thing,
very helpful.
there's Sevlich, Gegharkunik, demarcation, this and that. No. Let's open Google Maps and let's look at what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, and these are strategic pinpoints that Pashinyan's about to give. Well, I'm saying give because there's no negotiation. You know what I mean? There's no like, oh, we went there, the two of them met there. Have you noticed there hasn't been a single sit down between Pashinyan and Aliyev, like in recent times,
Right.
mediated by somebody. Foreign ministers met somewhere, but this is, the fate of a nation being decided. And like, what's going on? What? Aliyev is
No, you're
totally
right.
feeling like he owns the land and he can do whatever he wants. Okay.
I'd like to just respond to one of our comments really quick, where someone has posted that it was all planned. I don't disagree, but I can't confirm that. I do know that where there's smoke, there's usually fire. But in this case, I think the problem is not just that has been confusion pushed onto us. There's been confusion that we've, for lack of a better way of putting it, we've issued ourselves, either by bringing Pashinyan on to force confusion on us. I don't know what the story is.
Just guys, remember, I still have yet to totally debrief you on that town hall, but David Babayan, foreign minister of Artsakh, on a town hall to the Artsakh task force, admitted that there were traitors in this war. So what does that mean? He didn't elaborate. I mean, it doesn't make any, I don't know what that means, other than there were traitors. So does that mean all this is planned? Maybe. It could very well mean that. We know that we lost that war. We know, and Greg, you've always said it, man, I'm always going to shout this out, that if we lose Artsakh, Armenia is next, or can be next if we lose Artsakh. And you did a really great job showing the map and how that we're all so exposed on that eastern border because we lost Artsakh. And here so perhaps we should keep running through the timeline real quick, because we're almost done with the timeline. If you guys are okay with that. Just May 25th, the aggression reached more of a pinnacle with the killing of an Armenian soldier, how do you say his name? Khurshudyan. V. Khurshudyan. He was born 1989. He was fatally shot and killed by Azerbaijani armed forces in Verden Shoja border section of Gegharkunik province. So this is not Syunik. This is Gegharkunik.
Gegharkunik.
Sorry,
Gegharkunik. It's right by Lake Sevan. It's
yes,
where that pin on the map was.
Yes, exactly. So, and it's insane how close it is to Lake Sevan. It's right there. Many of us have been there. There's a more elaborate map of the shooting that was shared by Karabakh Records on Telegram. And
That's not pulling up for me, just so that you know.
okay, no worries. That's okay. That's okay. So look, and while this is happening, Armenia is urging for Azerbaijan to leave the territory. And we had that border deal, right? Rich, that you and I reported on last week, that leaks. Greg, you mentioned it. It has to do with setting up these commissions for the demarcation of the borders. Armenia insisting that the only way that we're going to sign that, whether Pashinyan really means this or not, he's saying the only way we're going to sign it is if the POWs are returned and if the soldiers leave Azeri territory. But neither of those things are happening, and Russia appears to be playing both sides of it, right, Greg? That's what it seems like. Russia's playing both sides. So
yeah. Let's roll through the timeline, and obviously,
yeah. Fast forward, we're almost there. May 26th. Okay, Pashinyan criticizes the CSTO. He applied for Article 2. Then they applied for Article 4, which is actually like imminent threat of attack. And then he criticizes them, saying that they're not siding with Armenia publicly on the matter, and that Yerevan is not satisfied with the pace of CSTO's response. I can't blame the guy for saying the things, but you guys, is that very political? That doesn't sound very political to me. You know, you need their help and then you're criticizing them. It sounds very familiar with his My Step Party, right? And what their whole premise of criticizing Russia. Doesn't it sound similar? Or am I reaching?
Absolutely. No, you're not reaching, but at this point with this person, I really am tired of guessing. I'm just seeing what's happening, right? And obviously, yeah, well, there's two things to here. A CSTO back in the day, even with what do you call it? There were open critics of Armenia at a time when they're in this union together,
Yeah.
stating that, you know, we will do everything to protect one another, except for if Armenia and Azerbaijan are fighting. So yes, CSTO needs to kind of shape up, but you know, guys, we don't have the luxury of this major criticism. We need to make sure. I hate the face of the guy. Sorry.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, it's just the
So,
you know, like behind the scenes, I'm digging up on so many things, just like we did this little map history of what's going on through maps. I'm learning so much I did not know about this man, that it's just like from his involvement in the more, you know, in the issues during the last election of Sarkisian, and how people died there,
yeah.
to him hiding in Armenia, and then, by the way, being forgiven by the Armenian government, that he wasn't in jail. He incited a riot, essentially.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I saw our former guest share that. Vino Chalaki.
yeah, Vino,
I saw
Kyle,
share
if
that.
you're listening, thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Then there's
So-
other, like his memoirs, his notes of how Artsakh is always a hindrance on Armenia's move forward. Him being on this TV show, and this is more comedic. She said that the interviewer, who was really all about him, said, like, I don't think so, but there's a theory out there, and this is 2 years ago, before he came to power, that people are afraid that, sir, when you're going to come to power, that you're going to kind of hastily resolve the issue of Artsakh. And he just goes, I'd rather not concentrate on myself right now in this interview. So anyways, like, I'm noticing how off guard I was when this man came to power. But let's move on.
Yeah, well, remember, Greg, I was always skeptical. How is he this self-proclaimed savior? But the CSTO reacted to Pashinyan's criticism. They're saying their statement: "We have taken note of the remarks made by Armenia's acting prime minister." Remember, he's acting. They're all acting because they resigned to make way for the snap elections. And they said works continue according to instructions of the CSTO council chairman. So, you know, what does that mean?
Well, first thing I would ask is, how snap are these elections? The snap is this, not like months.
Well, right. Remember, we questioned that. Why June 20? It's been months. So much could happen between now and June 20. And what are we seeing right now? We're seeing a lot happening between what was it, March? No, early March when it was announced
So now I'm sorry, David and Richard. We just told one of the people on the comments that it may not be planned, but in reality, we're just discussing that. Yeah, it seems very planned.
Well,
What
that's why I
happened?
said if there's smoke, there's probably fire. I'm not saying that it didn't happen.
Right.
I'm just
It's
saying I
very
can't
concerning.
confirm it one way or the other. I
Yeah,
can't.
it's very concerning.
That's
It's
all.
beyond concerning. It's beyond concerning. There's a lot of fishy things that don't make sense, right? So, just to end the timeline to bring us up to today, right? You showed it, Rich. Pashinyan accuses Azerbaijan of trying to create a land corridor to Nakhichevan using force, which, by the way, Aliyev was very transparent. They've been very transparent from day one. David Babayan said this as well. They've been transparent. We will do this by force. He signed the agreement November 9th saying there was going to be a land corridor. Now he's saying that's not going to happen. How can you say that when you signed November 9, right? And yes, it appears that they are trying to take it by force. And yes, Russia, nor CSTO, nor the US, nor anybody is doing anything about it, nor us either. So,
and by us, you mean the US?
No. Sorry, Armenia either. We're not fighting. We're not anything yet. Now look, and now there's 1,000 soldiers. At what point does fighting start? Because clearly that's what Azerbaijan is trying to provoke, right? But look, last thing, early morning, middle of our night, 6 Armenian servicemen were abducted, were taken hostage on the border region of Gegharkunik.
No, David, again, I'm sorry. In Armenia proper.
Yes. In Armenian, from sovereign Armenian territory. Excuse me, from sovereign Armenian territory, which, by the way, they're claiming those 6 soldiers. Of course, we talked about it earlier. Rich, you said it. Greg, you said it. They're trying to create so much confusion. They are claiming those 6 servicemen were on Azeri territory. That is not the case. We know that. And anyway, there you go.
Well, I'm gonna reach back to back Greg on this one. Why is it? Let's assume for a moment that we've got Armenians who are on quote Azeri territory, who just a few months ago were on Armenian territory. Okay,
right.
Let's just say for example that that's the case. So it's okay or palatable or acceptable for the Azeris to abduct our soldiers.
Right.
But you've got 1,000 soldiers on Armenian territory, and there's well, we have to form a committee to talk about it.
Exactly.
Really?
Exactly.
How about we send some fighter jets in there?
Rich, you're so right, man. And it's mind-boggling. There are no words, and all we can do is scream from the top of our voices and increase awareness, contact our representatives, share on social media. But is that going to get the 1,000 soldiers off Armenian land?
No, we can talk to people about voting, and this is the next topic we should cover.
Yeah.
Now. Sorry.
Yeah. Let's go.
The election. So my opinion, and you can, I hate to be right. My opinion is that this has to happen sooner than later, but there's a chance that these elections will not happen. Really? They will not happen for a couple of reasons. They will not happen because he's going to cross that line, and there's going to be violence in the streets. Okay, Armenians are also growing sick. I'm talking to Armenians that used to be supportive of everything, and now they're like, we're in fear. We don't know what's going on. Things are bad. We are in fear. He continues to never be transparent with the citizenry, ever. That's his way of operating. That's one.
Yeah.
The other is, I don't know, someone, executes the man. Because he's also, like there's so many things that are going to happen that can happen from now until the late June. But yet currently we have an election happening. And by the way, unlike the poll of late April, I for a fact know that he is slowly understanding that he is not winning this. Slowly, because if you every single party, including Gagi Tsarukyan's Bright Armenia Party, which helped bring in Pashinyan, because he, anyways, we won't go into that. Even he said that he would never form. So again, civics class 101, parliamentary system as such, unlike a presidential, you need to parties get elected, And if nobody has a majority, then you form alliances, and those alliances form the majority that are now the ruling party. That's the ruling bloc. Okay. Um, he now no longer has any party that's up for election that is going to form a government with him. That, my friends, does mean that he is almost, there's like no possibility of him being in power. Okay, so that's already projecting out there.
Okay.
Now we can discuss.
Well, there's no possibility through the legal, like,
Yeah. I get what you're saying, Rich.
Yeah.
Now we're wondering if he's going to use all of the, old tricks of the corrupted states. And
Right. We have yet, we have yet to see what he's going to try and pull. Right. Plus, not to mention the legitimate, imminent threat that is on our territory right now. That could very well impact the election too, couldn't it? Couldn't something happen that would be like, oh my God, now there's, I don't know. And then the only thing I'll add to your point, Greg, Neil Howard put a tweet out. I know he's not necessarily the best guy, but he is on Armenian territory in Yerevan right now. He put something out that Kocharian, the presence of all of his stuff promoting him, just surpasses everyone else around Yerevan in terms of promotion for him and his party.
Well, because he's not alone. He's with Dashnak Tutun as well.
Right.
It's not monolithic. So there's a bunch of parties. Yeah. Thank you, Rich, for so there's Robert Kocharan with Dashnak Tutun as one block. Obviously, this Dav and his ilk, another. By the way, just recently another member of parliament left his lands. Okay, so I mean, like, his people are like, they've been fleeing, and I hope they continue fleeing. I'm being notified that my internet connection is unstable, so if I get cut off, I'm sorry.
A little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. We there's obviously Gagik Tsarukyan with his Bright Armenia party, right? Then there's Edmond Marokyan, which is kind of like the guy that is currently in parliament with Pashinyan, right? He's kind of like the quote unquote of the opposition within, but he's a newcomer to the parliament. He's the pro-Western guy that his days are over too, because the guy's an anti-Armenian shill as well.
Yeah, I believe there's 26. There's 26 parties, I believe, isn't there? Something like that.
Yeah, that has always been Armenia's problem. We had a parliament that was bigger than we ever needed. It got reduced, thank God. We now have like 1,001 parties. But with
Armenians wanting to talk a lot. I mean, Armenians having a million people to discuss one thing. Jesus, it takes 40 people to start a barbecue. Of course, it's going to take a million people to run the country.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw us under the bus, but Jesus, it's like we do it to ourselves.
It's true.
I mean, even Emil said it. He's like, "I love you, people, but Jesus, I hate you too."
So, all right. So just to kind of go through it, there's Civil Contract Party, which is Nikol Pashinyan and everybody under him who is up for election. There's the Armenia bloc, the ARF, Robert Kocharan, and the Reviving Armenia Party, Kocharan being at the top of the ticket, ARF backing him. Then there's the I Have the Honor bloc, Republican Party, that's the former Ser Sarkisian party, and the Motherland Party, headed by the former supporter of Pashinyan, early deflectors from him before the war. He is Artur Vanetsyan. He was the head of the the police force in Armenia back in the day. He was the guy that actually, by the way, just like this foreign minister, Vanetsyan is another guy that was like, I've heard so much that I just had to resign. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then we have obviously LTP, Levon Tepetosyan, also joining, and Prosperous Armenia with Gagik Tsarukyan at the top of that ticket, and then Bright Armenia Party with Edmond Marokyan. So these are the main blocks that people will be voting in the end of June.
June 20. Well, hopefully it gets there.
Well, all I gotta say is that whoever it is, they better have it all together, and they had better be ready to go immediately. This isn't like hey, let's we have wolves at the gates again. So nothing.
No, I got a lot.
I mean, yeah, it's just guys. Yeah, I hope so. I have a lot of concern because Pashinyan has a higher rating according to that April 29 poll than the president, Armin Sarkisian. I didn't realize he was that disliked more than Pashinyan. 2.5 points out of 5 for Pashinyan, 2.1 points out of 5 for Armin Sarkisian.
There's David with his MBA stats. I love it, man. Americans and statistics. We're so big on it. I appreciate that. But you know, when I did political campaigns, the number one thing everybody told me is never look at the exit poll at the polls, right? Because they've literally messed with elections and predicted them wrong.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say and what I've mentioned to you, April 29th in everything that's happening in Armenia is like 10 years ago.
That's true. Lots changed.
Yeah.
May 12, lots changed, right? That's true.
What should we wrap on? Because obviously we're at the time. There's a lot of other. Remember, you mentioned something in sports, right, or something?
Should we touch on POWs real quick?
POWs, they're out there.
There's still no action. Azeris are what's it called? They have more criminal prosecutions on 2 more POWs, Ludwig Magurchin and Alyosha Koshrovian. They both were taken captive during the war. And actually the State Department put out something today calling for the POW release. They're also mentioning for Azerbaijan to relocate its forces to positions they held on May 11th as well. So, I mean, yes, it took them 15 days.
That is a scary email.
What's that? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You know what? At this point, you know, I do mean to be a jerk about it. I mean, they can send as many memos and emails as they want. What they need is artillery to hit them.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
You know what they need is, and it's easy for me to sit here and say that because I'm not going to be the one who's going to be firing the artillery. But my point is that like these people do not respond to anything other than force. You know, they would say things like, "Well, we have to go through negotiating channels," while they are sending troops into our territory.
Yep.
Not only that. With and this, I don't mean to go on a tangent here, but if the broader world does not, did you all hear what happened in Belarus? The Ryanair flight that was completely going from Greece to Lithuania, a country that happens to be flying, and the flight was flying over Belarus. And there was a dissident, an opposition leader on that flight, going from one EU country to another EU country via Ryanair. Lukashenko, the strongman there, sends out a MiG-29 saying, "We heard that there's a terrorist on board." So he literally, you could see the rerouting of the plane. The plane sits, in Belarus. The guy gets, ejected from the plane. He's asking all the stewardesses and the flight attendants, "Hey man, you can't release me. I'm en route to Lithuania. They're gonna jail me," which is exactly what they want to do. That has never been done before. There is a continuation to why, and I don't think the West is still like with its like tongue out, thinking how to understand what I'm saying here. A flight was going from one EU country to another in international skies.
Yeah.
Okay. Above Belarus. Obviously, Belarusian CIA goes, "Oh, there's this opposition leader on that flight," flies MiG-29 up there, diverts the plane under the guise of, "We heard that there's terrorists in that airplane." Okay, the plane sits down. They eject the opposition leader, and now he's in jail. That is a direct correlation to everything that's happening and autocrats running amok in this world. Okay. So this is like a forewarning to the United States. Tomorrow there's going to be a plane with like an American journalist flying somewhere between, I don't know, Mexico and Venezuela. But also it kind of sounds like sometimes it's the kind of shit that CIA would do. So anyways, there's a lot of BS things that are happening here, and that the Western world really needs to the international world needs to check itself, because it's creepy. And Azerbaijan is definitely exploiting everything it sees happening.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
before we pivot to our next story and then close out after that, I want to respond to one of our comments, who has put up a couple comments regarding Russia and their role, and specifically how they might help, and then what the status is, and then do we think that Russia will eventually step up, as well as Iran, for their own safety? I'd like to start by saying, we talked about that a little bit. I don't know that Russia's safety is at risk, because they're removed. I think my 2 cents, and Greg and you and David could probably speak to this. Russia's involvement is more strategic. In other words, they want to have a hand in the Caucasus. Still, they want to remain relevant. And currently, as I understand it, their mandate, if you can call it that, is to protect Armenia from the Turks, not necessarily anyone else. And while it may be convenient for us to think that they have a larger role, the reality is that if Armenia wants to claim it's a sovereign nation, we got to be able to defend ourselves, and that means we need the guns. So I'm gonna say this again, and I know I don't make a whole lot of friends when I say stuff like this, but I kind of don't care. If we spend all of our time worrying about Louis Vuitton bags and G wagons and not about guns and missiles, we're not going to have a country. So,
I agree. I understand, Rich. I totally agree with what you're saying, because at the end of the day, there's only so much "where is Russia" we could say. And by the way, another thing that came out recently is that there are strategic areas in Syunik that are being allocated to Russian forces. So yes, Russia is going to come in and be in Syunik.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, if we're constantly "where is Russia, where is Russia," well, then my question to you and David is, what kind of a country are we?
Dependent on Russia. We are a country dependent on Russia.
We would be a Russian outpost, much like Puerto Rico is for America. Like, back in the day, Puerto Rico is an American colony that doesn't get statehood. Puerto Rico is like, well, that gives us entry into the Caribbean, but you know what? You're kind of our back 40. We don't care, and that's what we would be for Russia. Hey, we can put some bases and we can project power into the Caucasus, but kind of don't care about you.
Right. Well, I mean, Russia only cares about themselves, and they only care about playing the situation, right, for their benefit, right? I think we talked about that. We know that.
And they are most, like, look, sometimes you say, hey, this is not the best situation, but this is what I got. Would I have liked for China to be our best friend and not Russia? It doesn't matter. We have Russia.
Which China, by the way, recently made a statement recognizing Armenia's territorial integrity because of the situation right now, which is interesting. But no, just to answer the question, eventually, I think what we would end up seeing is what happened in Artsakh, right? Eventually, Russia would come in when it's absolutely necessary to come in. But we're seeing it right now. They're not acting yet. They're not doing anything yet. And Iran, they talk big. They say the red line is Armenia's borders. They probably just mean the very southern border, because the eastern border doesn't really impact them, or does it? Greg, does it?
I will say this. I think both Russia, and this is somebody randomly, no one involved, randomly, as we speaking to somebody from Yerevan, I was like, oh, how's everything there? Like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Russia is our ally, but they're probably the weakest they've ever been. And then I started thinking, yeah, Russia's not as feared as it was even 10 years ago. Okay.
Really?
No. It's, it's Saudi Arabia with nuclear weapons. That's what a lot of people describe Russia as. Economically, it's weak. And Iran is deathly afraid of making a move, although it's posturing all the time. And that's, it needs to do that more. on the one hand, it doesn't want to seem like it's like an anti-Islamic nation, even though it's the Islamic nation of Iran. But it can't help it because Turkey and the pan-Turkism, by the way, includes the entire northern region of Iran as well. If you don't watch out, Iran. But Iran is so goddamn scared of that NATO thing, you know what I mean, that it just doesn't want to cross any kind of lines.
Well, yeah, because economically it's been crushed by the sanctions. I mean, they've just pummeled them. So, I mean,
have you seen that map of like Iran, right? And there's like a red dot for every US base around it. And then the meme says like the United States is very weary of Iran's expansion in the Middle East. And it's literally Iran with bases all around Iran. So like understand where
like
Iran
how dare they put that country in the middle, like right next to all of our bases.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like unbelievable.
So that's my answer. Russian politics, foreign politics were always bad, sloppy, and it's weakening. And Iran is like the black sheep of the black sheep of the black sheep of the world. You know what I mean? So like that's where we are.
We know Russia sells arms to Azerbaijan.
Yeah,
we know that they play both sides. They're playing all sides. So we know that. So anyway,
well, so I want to share this for a second. I know I have mixed feelings about this. So when Yerevan assures Iran corridor will never be discussed by Armenia. Well, okay, so we go back to the map. What does that mean? Does that mean that they're talking more about it, bringing it through Syunik, like up in the northern area?
I don't know, dude. I really don't know.
Well, yeah, again, like all the talk, like I said a moment ago, right? All the talk about how there'll be no transit way. What the freak Pashinyan signed that November 9, which said there's going to be a freaking transit way between Azerbaijan and Nakhchivan. Either that's going to go right through the middle, or is it going to go around on the bottom, or is it going to go? Where's it going to go? Like, anyway.
Yeah.
I just, I want to go 30,000 foot view for a second, and this is just sort of a topical question. I don't understand the strategy in giving up this territory under the guise that it's going to make it easier for us to put these issues to rest so that we can get on with building the nation another way. I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, that just seems ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think that's what it is, Rich. I mean, it's like we lost the war and we're forced into this situation.
Yeah, but David, again, I don't know if that was.
You keep stepping into these talking points. There could have been a time when there could have been a little bit of a pushback. Okay, these are the nine points.
Completely agree.
Two of them we won't agree to. 5 we can't agree to. Oh no, we continue fighting. Okay, sure.
Right,
you know what I mean, like bloody murder.
No,
well, I think there's also something to be said about the idea. And again, this is going to sound tinfoil hat, but I don't know that I'm wrong. There's also something to be said about the idea that the war was manufactured in order to legitimize the taking of the land. In other words, the man can't just give up the land without some sort of a fight. And then well, we lost the war. Well, did we really lose the war, or did they manufacture it and 5,000 of our guys got killed because of it?
And that is something that only at the end of the election we will find out. So again, I appreciate your tinfoil hat. I have the same hat. Okay, and there'll be a time when I felt very much crazy about saying things. And remember, like, all eyes on Syunik, all eyes on Syunik. Nobody cares. And now there's nothing but Syunik talk. Okay.
Yep.
Right. For sure. And to take it one other step, for months we've been sitting in these chairs talking about some of these topics, and for months it was trying to see through the fog of war and the fog of all of these positions and these little bits of information, and trying to triangulate the truth. And then we had a meal on here. And then we had a little bit more clarity about what was happening on the ground, and the vibe with the guys who were actually there, who were like, and we had Shushi. We took this place. Like, this was fine. We had this. And then we were told to leave. So, a lot of the stuff that we've been saying that like, this doesn't add up. Well, it doesn't add up because it's not supposed to add up. And I think
And notice also, we're talking about Artsakh in, we gotta give like, guys, we always need to kind of recenter ourselves and kind of get back our bearings, right? In terms of we talk about the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan, right? Okay, but there was also the Soviet Artsakh, 2/3 of which are completely now in Azeri control, right? Where is the conversation on that? Hadrut was always part of the NKO, which is Nagorno-Karabakh Автономная Oblast, autonomous oblast within Azerbaijan. Hadrut was always part of that. Shaumian district was always part of that. Where are those conversations? Because the average diasporan doesn't even know what Hadrut or Shaumian is, and Azeris know that. Number one. Number two, the average Yerevansi, I don't think, cares. And number three, we have Pashinyan, who clearly says Shushi is Azeri. Okay, so all of those things play into account. So Richard, you do not have a tinfoil hat. Okay, you're just assuming something that you're feeling it with your gut, and some tidbits of evidence are kind of illuminating in your eyes, right? But you just don't have like a full grapple on it. I mean,
right, and it's tough.
The only other thing I think that we do know also is that we've been saying since day one of the war is the man in power tried to move away from Russia. What was different between him and the ones prior before him? They were lockstep with Putin. Everyone before him was lockstep with him.
They understood what the region is.
Exactly. We saw what that has brought us. So we do know reports from officials of traitors in the war. There's all these concerns and questions that we have about what happened and why and how. And we also know that the man that's still in power is a large reason as why we're in this situation, because he chose to not be lockstep.
I will repeat, nobody asked him to go to Shushi and coronate the president of Artsakh, as he did last year. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to do that, dude.
Right.
Okay?
Right. That's not a good political move. And then being there saying Artsakh is Armenia when other people are literally fighting you for that territory, right? We know it is Armenia, but you have to know your political landscape. Anyway,
real quickly, we were asked to provide a link about the Russian. I heard Russian or CSTO peacekeepers are taking over. Is there a link? I don't know.
Yeah, it was the hot button one, or hot topic one.
Can you respond to that while I
I'll put
talk about some of the other stuff? So here's the other thing. We to pivot to other threatening news. We've got a couple pieces of interesting stuff. We have a soccer star who inexplicably was not called up to the national team for maybe I can.
He put out a tweet. So it's Henrik Mkhitaryan, right? Puts out a tweet.
Here.
And guys, again, I have like, there's something to be said here, because this guy's so thin-skinned, not Henrik, but the administration. Henrik Mkhitaryan, if you notice, during the revolution was silent. The point of the revolution is not like, this is not Robespierre. This is not the French guillotine Inquisition. You could have people that go like, yeah, okay, cool, there's going to be a revolution. I'll be on the, I'm weary side. But this fool takes notice. And Henrik puts out a tweet going, to my surprise, meaning no one told me, I just saw the roster and I'm not there. This guy is like the leading star of Armenian soccer. I've been informed by the coaching staff of the Armenian national team that for whatever reason, I wasn't called up for the upcoming games. They provided official reasons. The provided official reasons aren't convincing. I wish, however, the best of luck to our boys in the matches to come. It is the same thing that happened with the chess master Levon Aharonyan that left Armenia, because it says this administration does not care nor could care less about the state of Armenia's chess. Okay. And these are the two things going for us. Congratulations. The only thing that he can next is alienate every single Armenian wrestler, okay? Because they're kicking ass as well. I mean, like, dude, I can't. I swear to God.
So Greg, you really think this is because of Pashinyan?
Absolutely, absolutely. His family was always okay with the previous administration. Weren't like locking lips, but they're he came up through the Armenian Football Federation. He's a kid.
Right.
He's a product of that.
Right.
He's probably the only golden example of what we could and did and finally happened to produce. There's other good players, right? But he's the star.
So it's interesting. It's interesting because whenever I hear comparisons to Trump, I think, what, really? Okay, but then it makes sense to me. Like
sense,
Trump would
doesn't
be
it?
that vindictive jerk. So is Pashinyan, this vindictive jerk that says, no, you don't get to be on because you didn't support this. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
Greg, I don't know if you know this site. I found it from searching the 18.com soccer news.
Mhm.
But their analysis of it, they're just as baffled, by the way, right? And I believe what I gather from it is they're being pretty sarcastic, right? Armenia team is too stacked to include Mkhitaryan, who's the 10 times Armenian player of the year, right?
Yeah.
But they were saying that no official reasons were provided, but a couple things. He's 32. Okay?
No, stop.
Hold on. Just wait. There are two friendly games that are coming up. They're friendlies against Croatia and Sweden. So the repercussions of snubbing him will be relatively low.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing, and they end it with this. If Mkhitaryan is left out for the World Cup qualifying games in September,
oh yeah, that would be dumb.
Then we got some big questions.
That'd be really dumb. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to Doug Tarpin, or Doug Tarpinian, use your full last name, dude, who is viewing us from Costa Rica right now. So we have an international audience, Doug.
Nice, thank you so much.
When you get back, we're gonna play some. We got to play some sticks, okay? We're gonna play some backgammon, all right?
So we can end absolutely, man. I wonder. I want to be in Costa Rica right now. But
yeah, thanks for watching.
Soon, California is going to be just as warm as Costa Rica in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and it may stay that way permanently at this rate.
Right.
But what I want to say is, when you play friendly games, just to go back, it's a way for the international team is composed of people not usually playing with each other. So every match gives the ability of that team to gel together. And David, that likes NBA, understand how important it is, not just to bring good players together, but that they also play with each other. You know what I mean? Sure. Friendly games are exactly that. They're the ability for Mkhitaryan to know how how he plays with that goalie or that striker or that winger. And you know what I mean? Like, so for that to happen,
I don't get it. It makes no sense.
Whatever. All right, guys. We're like an hour and a half in. I think.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, I'm having a good time. It's horrible. It's like just. Like,
I haven't had dinner yet, guys.
The gloom of this. I mean, and shout out to all of the Armenians out there. Love you, man. This is. We're living through some dark times.
We are. I mean, look, May 22nd, between our last episode, it would have been Charles Aznavour's 97th birthday. Paris unveiled a sculpture of him. It's his bust. And then Tigran Sovdadzian's art graced Times Square earlier this month. I believe that was earlier mid-May. So there are other things happening.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. David is pulling in what we try to do at Arach Media, is bring in a little bit of that glimmer of hope. There's other good things. There was an Artsakh wrestler, we didn't put it on there, that kicked the living hell out of an Azeri in European wrestling championship.
Good.
And I think he became the champion of Europe in some kind of a midweight or like featherweight. So there's a lot. I mean, like, the nation's still pushing through. We're trying.
Yeah.
It's just that there's big
again,
that's happening.
I mentioned it last week, Greg, without you. I'm going to mention it again. I'm going to give both of you guys a shout out for the encouragement for us to get back to the segments and talking more than just the doom and gloom, because there is more to Armenia, to Armenians, to our diaspora, to our nation than just doom and gloom. Yes, there's a lot of bad news. We're going to try to bring you the news as we see it. So
Right.
Yeah.
So rather than spend any additional time on the call to action, I'm going to put all the links in the feed here. But there is some coordinated efforts and reasonable quick ways for you to put pressure on your representatives in order to help put political pressure on the powers that be. That's one of the benefits to living in this country, because we do have a bit of privilege that our compatriots in in the motherland may not have. So I'm going to urge you to spend time on the ANCA website. I am going to urge you to spend time on the Armenian Assembly's website, and I'm going to encourage you to use the tools available to you. Because if you can't pick up a weapon, if you're not flying over there, if you're not hosting a news show like this, there are other ways for you to participate, ones that don't necessarily impact the rest of your lives. The one thing I will say is, although these tools are available, it's important to remember that the harder it is for you to do, the more of an impact it'll make. In other words, if you send a text, they're not going to care. If you send an email or you respond to some form letter, they may care. But if you make an appointment and you show up and you get in their face and you say, I'm a constituent and I need you to put pressure on this. I need you to support this bill. I need you to co-sponsor this. If you do those things, you will help push this ball forward and minimize the amount of effort that the rest of us have to do. Okay, because this nation needs to survive, and it can't just be because somebody's selling a new facial cream or a new form of food. No disrespect, Greg, I want your wine to be very successful, but you're also putting your efforts in other places too. So there's a lot of different ways to show up, and we're going to give you some of those tools. Also, pay attention to our link tree, because that has all of the links. It's the master link for everything. I know it's a lot, but it's worth it. So,
and you know what? Well said, Rich. Well said, man. I want to thank everybody that has visited our link tree and taken action. We see the links, we see the clicks, and it's really great. So thank you, and keep doing it. Share it, and take action.
All right. And so we will be on again next Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Consider following us not only on Facebook and on Instagram, but also on YouTube as well. Subscribers are important. David is doing an exceptional job in taking this content and uploading it to YouTube, and we are working on a whole new platform to be able to broadcast to multiple sources simultaneously. So again, we are completely unfunded, unpaid. We do it because
it's important.
Yeah.
And we want to. We need to.
All right. I will hopefully see you guys soon again. All right. And that's it.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.